Hey everyone, this is Matt Ernie. I'm just going to present my schema. So the Hype Machine was the site I chose to do. They're an institution that looks at different blogs and identifies blogs that post music tracks in MP3 format, and then basically allow you to set up a user profile where you can subscribe to, pick out your favorite songs, or subscribe to different blogs that you like, make friends, and see your history, etc. So I thought METS would be interesting for this. Well, I thought it was an interesting thing. There's basically, in my mind, there's the blog posts themselves, there's the users, and there's the music itself that could be kind of described in an interesting way. So that in mind, I put together an application profile for the blogs, the music, and the users of the site. So the blog application profile consists of a series of blog entries, or blogs themselves with IDs, addresses, and then it's all based on RSS, so you need the RSS feed. And then each blog has a series of entries. Each entry has its own ID, its own URL, date, description, and then songs that would be put in that entry. And each song in this section it's basically pulling in an ID ref of an actual song that I'm going to just show you in a second in the music application profile. Okay. The music consists of basically three major components: the artists themselves, which are very simple; the albums, which have a little bit extra, they have an image; and then the songs, which include references to the albums and artists that are related to each song, and so on. So that's the music. And then the user, there's a series of users. Each user has a username, a image, and then a series of events, such as you could have an event where you listen to a song, or add it to your favorites, or remove it from your favorites. And each of those events could be related to a blog, a song, or a user. So what I did was essentially pulled all those three descriptive metadata application profiles in. Each one of them, I forgot to mention, used mods as its sort of underlying model, and then pulled in the METS standard metadata application profile, the premise for administrative, and then also the METS rights for administrative. And I essentially created my hype m root element as a METS type. So then I went ahead and filled out my instance. So you can see all the different namespaces up here. I've got three descriptive metadata sections, its own associated information, a number of different entries with all sorts of different music artists, and so on and so forth. Moving quickly on, we've got a music section with a number of different artists. Radiohead was one that I chose here. Each artist also had different albums. So we have the most recent Radiohead album here, and that's related to these songs. So here's the song from that album, and it's related to the artist Radiohead and the album by Radiohead as well. And then the user, we have some information about a username, their image, a series of events that they did where they saved things to favorites or listened to songs. And then all this is kind of under the sort of rights. So these songs, blog posts, etc., are sort of protected via certain copyright statements. And then you have digital provenance, so looking at what are the objects and how can they be sort of described here using premise, and then also what are the events and how can they be described and related to the objects that were described in the other section. And then we have the files section. So this is a list of files, and some of the files are actual MP3 files. Some of them are XML, etc. And then these file lists are related to the structure elements. So, for example, we have a blog post structure, which consists of ultimately there's a blog containing an entry, and then that entry would contain songs, right? If we look at a user history, user listening history would consist of a user who would then have a listening history, which would consist of a list of events in that listening history. And then artists, songs, same idea, right? You have artists, each have, and then within each artist you have a list of artist songs. So that's the quick and dirty rundown. Hopefully that was useful, and thanks for your time.